Hi, so today I'm going to be showing you how I experimented doing an AI assisted comic. Hi, my name is Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist in the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 25 years now, and I'm here to empower you. So I've seen a lot of videos of people who are like, look how easy AI is to make a comic, and look how easy it is to make a kid's book, and all this other stuff. And then I've watched them do the thing, and it's terrible. Then all the work is it's really bad. Like the people who are doing these things are amateurs. They don't know what is involved in doing a storyboard in the storybook. They don't know what is involved in doing a comic. They just superficially see what is done, and then they think that by doing having the computer make images, produce images, or mine images, or they fish out a bunch of images, and then suddenly they're like, look, a comic, look, a storyboard, a storybook. And so then they go, well, ChatGPT did it, so and he wrote the story. But what they don't realize is when ChatGPT puts a general surface by the numbers story, that's kind of like storytelling 101. If you go to a storytelling class, you can do that. That's not what makes a good story. What makes a good story is the execution. And if you're having ChatGPT execute the thing, it's not going to work because it doesn't resonate with there's no human connection because ChatGPT isn't human. So you don't know what is. You need a person to humanize all of it, no matter how superficial the AI seems to create a story. It's not unless it really connects to with the reader. Like you can say, oh, it's pretty good. No, it's not. No, really. Like there are so many writers who know the basics but haven't, but their stories don't hit for whatever reason. There's something missing, and a computer it's because they're like computers. They're just going by the numbers, thinking that that's gonna work. So it's the same way with comics too. When it comes to comics, you can't just superficially just do a bunch of random images and then have narration. So I, I was trying to see, is it possible at all to like do with the not like storytelling, visual storytelling knowledge? Is it possible to do a comic that that has some storytelling in it? So not in to, so what I decided to do was not to do something deep, something long, because that's just too much work. If I wanted to do something that's like lengthy, I do it myself. There's no reason to have it digital. But what I wanted to see was if I could do a throwaway gag strip that has some uh, general storytelling beats. So it's just like a beginning, middle, and an end with some shots that would be something that I'd storytell with, right? So right away, I knew that the computer on its own could not do the work. It couldn't because it doesn't know what I want and how I want it. So right away I knew that you can't rely on the computer alone. You can't just have ChatGPT write you a gag and then you just type in the descriptions that ChatGPT is going to give you and stuff like that. You have to actually you still need an artist or some level of human understanding to get to the point where you need to go. So the very first thing I needed to do was do the work myself of what needed to be done. And then the second thing I needed to do was abandon my own drawing style because Stable Diffusion, which is the program I'm going to be using, doesn't draw like me. It doesn't know how. So instead, I would have to draw and fix anything that the computer did in its own style, in whatever style it produced. And then I would have to be malleable enough to do the style that the computer produces in order to fix whatever needs to be fixed, which is fine with me because that's what I do anyway. That's kind of like my in animation you have to be a style chameleon. I can do that, no problem. So the very first thing you need to know about this process is that you need to know how to draw. Which is ironic because the whole idea is that, oh, well, look at you. Now you don't need to know how to draw because the AI is going to do it for you. No, you actually need to know, one, how to draw, and two, how to visually storytell in order to guide the computer to produce the work you needed to produce. So if you're looking for if you don't know how to draw thing, and this is how you get what you need, this isn't it. You still need to know how to draw because you need to fix whatever the computer can't do. And you also have to guide the computer with your own drawings in order to give you what you want. And I'll show you how I did it here. And so those are the two things that I needed to do. And then I did the storytelling myself. And I will show you all the process in this video. Okay, so there's a reason why this is called a computer AI assisted comic rather than an AI generated or whatever comic. I am doing my comic thing here. I am coming up with shots for the gag. So the gag is up above, and then I'm doing a little thumbnail of the first panel here. How is the first panel going to look? And then I'm doing these little concepts of how it's going to look, and I have to decide how to set up the shots. And I was trying to find a good, shot. I ended up coming this one here, number one, is what I came up with. That I decided to go with, but I did do a few shots before that, and then I decided. So this is the thumbnailing. Just exactly the way that I would do it in any with any other comic. And this is when I decided to start using the AI. So. I wanted it to create backgrounds for me. I did a few diner shots, and then I set up the comic the way I usually do. And I chose two different backgrounds that I fished out of the model, and then I started doing a little bit more refined version of the comic. I started actually doing the word balloons and all that, and I placed the characters in it, and I'd have the panels, and I fleshed out the background myself so that it could, because it did most of the work. So and then I fixed the colors. I didn't like the colors, and so I did the rest of it, and it was kind of sloppy. So I went over and I wanted to finish off the drawing. So by the way, I'm using the iComics model on Stable Diffusion, and I am not using any names of any artists in my prompts. You can pause the video and see the prompts that I'm using. All right, so then I have it regenerate a new background, and once I had a nice fleshed out background, I decided to place the characters in it myself, and then I started sketching out the characters, what I wanted them to look like. And these are extremely rough and ugly drawings, right? But I knew that I wanted to not be precious about my drawings here, because the computer was gonna change whatever I drew. It just wasn't gonna draw what I did. So the first thing I tried to do was try to get it Stable Diffusion to do the entire shot all at once. But as you can see, it kept on giving me all the wrong characters. It looked all wonky and weird. I mean, that's just, it wasn't working. I wanted the girl on the right to be black. I wanted the girl on the left to be a redhead. I wanted the waitress not to be showing her face. So I ended up having to separate all the characters into their own into its own little bit, and every single time they generated a new shot, a new character, it was wrong. Part of the problem was that their eyes kept on looking backward for some reason, or looking at the camera. I wanted it to look forward. It was really frustrating. The characters weren't, the eye direction on the characters was just terrible. And the girl in the shot kept on having stuff in her hand. It was a bit frustrating. So I kind of quit a little bit and just started trying to do this redhead. The redhead again, her eyes were looking back for some reason instead of looking up. It was getting frustrating. I fixed up some of the background here. So I chose I chose one of the characters to increase to do a high res version. I did more of the black girl again, and then chose one to extract as a high res, and then I tried to do the waitress so that you couldn't see her face. So here's here's the high res versions that I chose. And then I put the characters into the shot, and then I had to delete and erase the stuff around the white around the characters to place them into the shot. And see, her arms are complete. It's a complete disaster. And see, her eyes are still looking back. It doesn't work. I wanted their mouths to be open. It didn't give me open mouths. So all of this now that I had the characters basically right, now this is when the drawing part comes in. I'm fixing all the things I don't like myself, and I'm adding the character, like this hand is a complete disaster. Her fingers and her hand and her arm and all that stuff is a disaster. I needed to go in there and fix it myself. So that's what I did. I went in and I redrew those things that needed redrawing, which is why you need to be able to draw, because the computer, it's just you're fighting a lot of it, and you have to be able to fix anything you don't like. And here I'm adding some shadows, and basically that's it. It's just finessing, adjusting, fine-tuning all the stuff, and drawing what needs fixing. The next shot is going to be a close-up. I wanted it to be a little, and so I took the drawing that originally gave me, and then I basically just kind of made it so that it was a little bit more facing forward. And I took the background in order to have it have a background. I stretched it out. I broke it into two pieces. I stretched it out and made it so that there was a background there. And then I had it generate more. And then again, look, she's looking away or looking at camera. It was super frustrating. I didn't understand why I kept on doing that. It was just so annoying. This, I did the same thing with her. I made it so that she's looking more forward, and I just flopped the background on her as well. And then I was gonna go. In order to make the character look a little bit more consistent, I used a modified version of the character that the AI had originally generated or pulled out or mined out of there, and so now I'm picking which character looks the closest. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be close enough, because nobody really cares about whether or not everything looks perfect. I did give her a little bit of orange sleeve, by the way, if you saw, like just to match the first panel. This was actually much better than, but I had to fix that mouth. It was just a bit terrible. I fixed the neck and a bunch of other things, and that's it. That's the comic. So if you noticed how much work up front I had to do, and how much work I had to do in order to get the computer to give me what I wanted, it's a lot of work on my part. For the computer, it requires you to be able to do the work yourself. So that's it. The computer's just not going to do everything. You have to do a lot of the work, and you have to know what you're doing. You have to know storytelling. Just get books on drawing comics, because if you don't know how to tell a visual story, it's not gonna. the computer's not going to show. It's not going to do it for you. You have to do it, and you have to have control, and you have to do all the work. And then the computer then assists you in finishing up the stuff, but you're basically doing all the creative foundational stuff, or otherwise you're not going to get anything that even remotely works. All right, so that was the process that I used. I'm going to try to experiment maybe again and try to see if I can do something else, do another one, and then we'll see. Okay, I will. Hopefully this has been helpful, and I'll talk to you next time. All right, bye.